The optimal balance. Shafe made a video about living in the present, about how the focus on that should certainly outweigh our focus on the future or the past. This Zen like or just relatively normal, healthy path is something most people have to a smaller degree than what would be Zen like. Our need to plan for the future, our need to perceive things and have expected outcomes rapid firing in our brain, our need to hearken back to the past to view mistakes in a bad sense, to gather joy from old memories, to naturally suffer through uh, sadness or whatever the case may be. I don't want to talk about that too much. Shafe made a really good long comment uh, to my question of what is the optimal balance. That's what I want this focus to be, is the optimal balance, of course, to me doesn't exist and is likely gauged differently to a different personality. Uh, that makes sense to me, and the focus that we've lost and the focus that we've gained, say what we've gained is we have a great focus on the phones in the current time. Uh, although I do listen to YouTube a lot of the times like a radio show while I'm doing other things, but at the same time it does gather some of that present focus. The things we've gained with technology have not aided in that natural healthy balance, I don't think. Uh, the doomsday worrying of the future, and I don't mean that in a prepper sense, I mean that in the people living paycheck to paycheck, the people struggling with vital issues in their life today, and what that means. It seems like things have gotten so much better. In the year 1900, somebody in Mexico was living 30 years and then they would die on average. On average. And now we're protesting in the streets uh, for the most inane things. We've got it so good that it's it's not like that Zen like focus isn't required, but there's there's a gained neuroticism in all this luxury. I believe it was the old Banana Hands Tony Robbins that, uh, as he's traveling around the world or he's on some specific mission to find the happiest people on earth, he found them in a trash dump in Mexico, and they were extremely happy. I would imagine they were living in the moment. The Zen like focus is either the most advanced sense of self and way of being, or it is seemingly lazy and it loses the edge that magnifies our intelligence and perspective. The balance for me is always a juggle of trying to stay happy and current, but being an analyst, like primary personality sector, if you're comparing this, I certainly use the past in order to broadcast thoughts, predictions, or expectations of the future because that's how my brain works. So sometimes my present is taken up by analyzing things and pushing them forward. So maybe gauging my balance would be different. Although I do find great joy in a very Zen-like existence. In the modern world, it leads me to a less productive life, I think. But that's just based on my personality type. Since we're all different, this one's really hard to preach on, no pun intended, Shay. It's hard to theorize what someone else's best fit would be because you don't know inside their mind like what their true focus is percentage wise. There's very little way to gauge that before we integrate with robots. On a side note, I had a good talk with a lawyer buddy, and we're discussing the implications of AI and robotics merging and what that means in the next 10 or 15 years. He's not grandiose or he's not overblowing his shit, but he almost sees this as we're getting, bound to get crushed as a modern society as far as the workplace, the jobs being displaced from society itself without a universal basic income. And I thought, well, maybe on the lower level that's true, that the plumber, sole proprietor who's by himself, who would otherwise be shut out by all these robots, can just buy a robot. Buy two robots and manage them and maybe be able to program or have their own learning model, understand his way of doing things, and have his robots be better than the other corporate robots who are doing plumbing jobs. And obviously a mystery on how fast that develops, but it's something we are going to contend with if we live a decent, healthy life at our age. We are going to see a lot of that integration. Robots and AI in our daily life, and eventually we will own robots. You and I will own robots should we live a normal, healthy life. And whether that's my past, current, or future focus, I certainly believe that's going to be true. Anyway, just a quick one for now. Savage out.